All right, everybody. It's time for an evening, sort of late night. Not really late because it's only 8:27 where I am. Time for another episode of the Late Night Boxing Talks, the not so late night Boxing Talks. And just moving ahead with everything that's going on. Late night. I was actually just going to do another episode of the relay. But just a few quick things I wanted to say. I don't really have enough to do a whole segment on it, so I kind of wanted to get it out right now. If you guys was goody Jack, was goody Alfredo, was goody Jay Flint. If you guys are following this ongoing Crawford and Spence thing going on Twitter, you'll know that Oscar De La Hoya actually sympathizes with Crawford's plight. He's basically corroborating his story in his own way. That that what we're seeing now is basically what Al Heyman is good for. And it dawned on me that, one person, or at least, one person who can use Terrence Crawford and put some good money in his pocket and give him some interesting fights is Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya has a couple of guys that they're kind of frozen out of the welterweight picture as well. They need an alphabet title to fight for. You're talking about Blair Cobbs, you're talking about Alexis Rocha, who beat Blair Cobbs, and you're also talking about Virgil Ortiz. And unless the welterweight situation changes, unless, because what the PBC might do is, they might do the Spence versus Thurman thing. If they do that thing and then they just move their fighters into those alphabet titles that Spence is currently holding upon him moving up, then the situation at welterweight doesn't really change and he'll still have control over it. And other fighters that are not with that outfit, they won't have access to those belts. They'll just get jammed up in the ranks and continue to be frozen out. Virgil needs an alphabet title to fight for. Virgil Ortiz versus Terrence Crawford is an excellent fight that can be built into a DAZN pay-per-view. And it just dawned on me that with Oscar sympathizing with Terrence, because I don't have any hope that I was goody Jump Tube, was goody Daniel, was goody Old Dirty, Abner Ortega, que lo que. You know what I mean? With things just being the way that they are, I don't really have a lot of hope that Crawford versus Spence happens. I've told you guys many times that I'm kind of over it, and whatever I do in reference to that story is really just like timestamps. Like, I'm not even expecting it, to be honest. I don't expect them to work it out or work out their differences. I've been saying the same thing for 4 years, and 4 years later, still no fight. So it just is what it is. And we've already gone over most of the particulars of what Crawford said in his live and all that different stuff. Just moving beyond that, in a scenario where, they don't fight, it doesn't materialize, and they don't fight, and the fight is dead, what happens? Well, one person that Crawford can go into business with is Oscar De La Hoya, because he has at least 3 welterweights that need someone to fight. Ya tú sabes, manín. Ya tú sabes. Ojalá. Shout out to Oscar De La Hoya. Bit of advice. Your fighters need a title to fight for, and you know that Al Heyman's just going to jam you up. He's just going to freeze your fighters up because, that's what he does. And one thing that Oscar can do with a little bit of help from DAZN and Joe Markowski and all those good people over there is they can bring Crawford into the fold as a Golden Boy Promotions fighter, because Golden Boy needs a champion at welterweight to give their other welterweights something to shoot for, something to fight for. And you know that Virgil's never going to get access to Keith Thurman. You couldn't get Keith Thurman in the ring with Virgil Ortiz. It's just not going to happen. Danny, he ran up to 154. He's not going to fight Virgil. All their guys that are supposed to be of some kind of value, they're not going to fight Virgil. And Virgil is a great young fighter. He shows the ceiling. He's a big kid, tough. He can box. He can punch. He's a great young fighter. He's entertaining. He has star quality. He has star power. And, the sad thing is that he's kind of caught in the crossfire of today's very political welterweight division. And if something in the world title picture doesn't change, well, he'll continue to be frozen out. He'll be frozen out at 47. He'll be frozen out at 54, because those are mostly belts that Al Heyman has. So what can you do to remedy that? Well, Spence versus Crawford doesn't happen next year. What Oscar De La Hoya can move to do is bring Crawford in, bring him into the fold, bring him into the fray, sign him, or work something out where it's a fight by fight basis and he gets paid based on the value of the match. And he can fight, Alexis Rocha and Blair Cobbs en route to Virgil Ortiz. He can do that, and you can do that as a DAZN pay-per-view. It'll make a lot of money in the state of Texas. Virgil needs a big fight. He needs a big opportunity. Errol's not going to give him one. You know that. You know that, Oscar. We all know that. Errol, all that big talk is nothing, He's not going to fight Virgil. He's not, all right? Like, he's not going to fight him. I was goody. Iron K was goody. Danny Lopez, Molly Watt was good. Major K was good. And yeah, that's what I proposed, that even though the welterweight situation kind of sucks, it does suck, that's one thing that you can do to liven it up a bit, because it's been political for 4 years. They're pretending that anybody was really excited about fights like Spence versus Danny Garcia, Spence versus Ugas. We all know what those fights did at the box office. They did next to nothing. They did next to nothing. The people who were asking Terrence Crawford to fight Sean Porter, they didn't even buy his pay-per-view. It only did 130,000 buys. I bought it. I have my receipts. Oscar went to the UAE, saw the money, squashed beef with Eduardo Hearn, and came out swinging on Twitter saying Al and his minions holding up the day Paramount CEO says Showtime's dates. Of course, bro, the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. And what I would like for Oscar to do, and I've been saying this also, I've been saying that Joe Markowski and the people at DAZN should give Oscar more money so that he can do more shows, because Golden Boy shows are fun. Even if they're not for titles, they are fun shows. Look at fucking William Zapata and Jojo Diaz. William Zapata broke a damn record, the lightweight record for punches thrown. That's action. People like that. Oscar knows how to build fighters. Oscar knows how to groom fighters. And if you give him some more money to sign more guys and more girls and do more shows, that can be your key to cracking the code in America. Because don't forget who groomed Canelo Alvarez. Don't forget, regardless of what their relationship ended up being later on, Oscar did that. Golden Boy, Eric Gomez, Roberto Diaz, Oscar De La Hoya, they did that. All right? And they can do it again. If you give them the money, they can do it again. I was goody Al money. You know what I mean? That's not cap. That's not bullshit. That's me being a consumer telling you that if y'all don't know this market, I know this market because I'm from this market. You understand what I'm saying? I know what'll work and what won't, because I'm a consumer. I'm one of the people that spends money. Don't worry about people that don't spend money. I spend money. Right, you give Oscar a couple more dollars, you work it out, he does more shows, yeah, it could pay off, especially in the Southwest, in the West Coast. If you get to see Virgil Ortiz fight 3 times a year, those are 3 shows that'll get him attention and get you money as you build him up. You know what I mean? Only fighter on PBC Oscar did not build was Tank. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that if they give Oscar a bigger budget, they give him some more money to play, some more money to do shows. You know what I mean? Get Sulem Urbina some goddamn fight. Shout out to Sulem. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let me shoot Sulem the link now that I'm here. Shit. Hold up. If Zerto beat Bivol, does he fight Canelo in May? I don't think so. Not straight away. I don't think it happens that fast. It could, but I don't think it happens that fast. Not on that kind of schedule to where, okay, May is next. You know what I mean? But that's more or less what I think, man. I think that the welterweight situation can be salvaged with a bit of creativity and relationships. Because if nothing else, so long as Al keeps control of 3 of the 4 major titles, there are going to be a proliferation of fighters that never get to fight for them. They'll never get to fight for them, so long as he has them. If you're talking about Virgil's career path from 147 to 154, for the most part, Al Heyman will try to jam him up and freeze him out. Jam him up in the ranks and freeze him out. He doesn't want to make a Spence fight. Come on, man. Come on. He might not, Coma. He might not, and I don't really think that he should. If it's me, I would say he should come back in September. And I would say, if it's me, I would say fight Charlo, fight Jermall Charlo, fight Demetrius Andrade. He's not doing anything. Fight them. Those are good fights that will sell. They're winnable fights. But it's not the same as going up to light heavyweight. And I said that in my last video. He should fight those guys. Canelo surgery, he back in September. What's next, Relay? Personally, like I said, what I said in the Relay, I'll just repeat it here. I think he should fight Jermall Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. Those kids aren't doing anything. They're not. Those are winnable fights. That's not they don't present the challenge that Dimitri Bivol or really any solid light heavyweight might present to Canelo. And if he's out for that duration of time, that's a lengthy amount of time to be out of action. It might be that's close to a year, if not a year, right? I mean, that's about a year that he will have been away if he comes back in September. So, take it easy. Just take it easy. I mean, Ortiz versus Errol Spence is a fight, but do you think it's going to happen? It's like, obviously, yes, it's a fight if you can make it. Do you think they're going to make it? Right now, they're all jammed up with this damn Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis thing, It's a headache working with them. It's a headache. It's a headache. It's a headache, bro. And what kind of offer are they going to make to Ortiz? What, same kind of dick in the booty, fruity booty offer they just made fucking Crawford? Yeah, we're going to give you a percentage of the net, but no guarantees. Oh, and you can't see what the books are to make sure that that's 35% of the net either. You can't look at them. What kind of fruity booty offer they going to make him? Motherfuckers got to stop pretending that PBC fighters is going to fight these other people. They not. I don't understand what's wrong with people that they'll look at a Tank and think, oh, yeah, he'll fight. He's not going to fight nobody. No one. Haven't you figured that out yet? No Lomachenko. No Devin Haney. No Shakur Stevenson. No Teofimo Lopez. No. We'll be lucky if they get him in there with Ryan. We'll be lucky. Exactly, Midwest. Spence admitted he owns a Fire Stick and asks motherfuckers to buy pay-per-view. The mediocrity, man. The mediocrity, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to keep it light tonight. You know what I mean? Just wanted to keep it light tonight because, sometimes it gets a little bit too crowded in here and then I lose my train of thought because there's so many people in the queue. But that's one thing that they can do to salvage the welterweight situation that needs to be salvaged, because welterweight is one of the glamour weights. It's one of the historically glamorous weight divisions in the sport of boxing, one of the first. And it's been reduced to this political environment where almost nothing happens, where everything is just an alternative or a substitute. No, I didn't care about no fucking Spence versus Mikey Garcia. No, I didn't want Crawford to end up fighting Brook and Khan, but that was the only options that he had because the PBC guys wouldn't fight him. Did Golden Boy build Wilder? If he was unknown then and getting 77,000 buys now, PBC didn't cash him out when they had the chance. Well, I do agree with that. They didn't cash him out when they had the chance, but yeah, Wilder was with Golden Boy. So was Luis Ortiz for a good portion of their career. When they were coming through, they were with Golden Boy. All those guys were with Golden Boy. And I think that, honestly, I've said this before, I firmly believe that the key to the American market for DAZN is Oscar De La Hoya, Roberto Diaz, and Eric Gomez. I believe they are the key. They know this market, and they know how to build a fighter. That's just the fucking reality. Yeah, they're not what they used to be without Canelo. I understand that. Yeah, I get that. But remember that they managed to survive having an entire stable of fighters stolen from them, and they still survived. They still were able to get out there, and they created the biggest draw in boxing in the sport right now. They helped, obviously, Canelo deserves some credit, obviously, but I'm just saying that those are people that I think, right, if you give them the resources, they can get you the keys to America. They can get you the keys to the paying public in America. I believe that. Espinoza caught off guard today by Paramount CEO. Yeah, he's just going to keep making empty promises until curtain call is announced, you know? He's just going to keep doing that. He's not going to acknowledge that, you know, the situation between Paramount and Showtime is real. These are not just fans saying things that have no merit. We all know that Paramount is very close to phasing out Showtime and just keeping the content that people watch, which isn't PBC on Fox. It's not. That's not a big part of Showtime's bottom line. Their story-based programming is what brings them most of their metrics, most of their views, not their boxing. Yeah, me too, Danny. Me too. I think if you give Oscar and all those guys, if you give them the resources to really start expanding on their stable of fighters and doing more shows more often for the fighters that they do have, yeah, they'll do all right because they've done all right before. But, you know, you got to give them the money. Their handling of Munguia is shocking. It is. It is. I won't lie about that. But if they end up doing what I think they're going to end up doing, then the ends will justify the means. Though I don't disagree with you. I've said it many times myself that the matchmaking needs to get better for that fighter. It does need to get better. Like, absolutely, I agree with you. You know, his next fight, who the hell even is that guy that he's fighting? Drew says, Julius, the entire earnings call said that they need content that generates advertising revenue. Yes, exactly. You know how this works, bro. You know how this works. You don't see big advertisements during a PBC show now, do you? For big name brands. You don't see them, right? Or is it that, I mean, I can't ask people to be as observant as everybody else is, but I'll say that, yeah, it's noticeable that during a PBC show, well, you don't see the big name brands, do you? Advertising in those spots because they know that not a lot of people are watching at that time. And it's not a lot of people are watching because the PBC is not really doing a whole lot of fights that people care about. What are kind of okay fights, they end up behind a paywall. They end up pay-per-view. I just saw Eubank versus Beefy next. Yeah, that'll be on Sky. That's a good fight, sensible fight. I like that fight. Chris Eubank Jr. will likely be the favorite in that fight. He likely will be. But it's a good fight, and he needs a fight so that the whole year doesn't go to waste because he didn't get to fight Conor Benn. He didn't get to make any money off of that. So, who on PBC has big endorsements? No one, to my knowledge. The most I've seen in terms of sponsorships was Andy Ruiz with an OnlyFans patch on his trunks. Yeah, man, I was gonna do another episode of the relay, but halfway through the middle, I was like, I'll start those segments off tomorrow, finish them off tomorrow, and just do a live tonight. Even though I really wanted to do another episode, but you know, adjustments. I believe Canelo will fight the winner of Zach Parker versus John Ryder. It's entirely possible. If he stays out until September, it'll be a year since he had a fight. So you got to ease him back into activity if it's been a year since he had a fight, if he does stay out till September. So, yeah, that makes sense. And them other kids, they just going to have to find something to do. Yo, that's what he had, though, Thunder. If you go back and you look at his trunks, the patch that he had was an OnlyFans patch. That was the shit that he had. So you know. You know what I mean? It's motherfucking shit. Shout out to my man Thomas Jones. But yeah, yo. Just gotta be logical about the shit. If things don't stop being political at welterweight, how is a Virgil Ortiz supposed to get a title shot? Right now, they've petitioned the WBA to get them a Stanionis fight, but that was weeks ago that they petitioned. Where are they with that? Are they going to actually do it? What's happening with that? Oh, yeah, I know. Benavidez versus Usyk is canceled, and the rumor is that he'll be fighting Caleb Plant on pay-per-view. That's the rumor. You know, they haven't made an official announcement yet, but that's the rumor. Yes, the Plant fight is a better fight. I'm going to get some opinions. I want to get some opinions on whether or not people feel that Here and Now, is that a box office fight? Do you feel that Here and Now, is that a fight that you would pay pay-per-view to watch? You know, because there's no belts on the line. Caleb has been knocked out at least once by Canelo. So do you really like that fight? Yeah, I got Parker beating Ryder. Could be wrong. Beats, I think Beats, shout out to Beats. I think Boxing Beats and Ram said that he feels John Ryder might eke that out. We'll see. It's a good fight. That's honestly a really good fight. That's BT Sport, Frank Warren, Queensbury. That's a really good fight, to be honest. I really like that fight. Somebody's gonna get knocked out. I feel like somebody's gonna get knocked out. So I like that fight. And I just want to gauge whether or not people think that Benavidez versus Plant at this point, is that really a box office fight? In their opinion, you know, they had the opportunity to do this thing when they were champions, when they were both unbeaten, parallel to each other. They both had belts. They squandered that opportunity trying to marinate it. What's it worth now? You know, at the box office, what is it worth now? You know, shit is crazy to me. I honestly think Zepeda versus Prograis is a better fight than that. I think it's a better fight than that. I like that fight a lot. I think Benavidez versus Plant is a good fight. And if they did cancel the Usyk fight because they feel that, you know what, we might as well make the Plant fight. He just fought. So, you know, he fought once and David fought once this year. I get the logic, but commercially, devoid of logic or anything really, what does that do at the box office? What does that do on pay-per-view? Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. I think Oscar should sign Bud, man. That's what I think. I think he should sign Bud. Yeah, I mean, Errol is not going. You try to do a fight between Virgil and Errol, you're gonna end up pulling teeth again, man. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be the same bullshit from always, man. Can't work with them guys, man. Like, for real, like, motherfuckers really acting like they Julio Iglesias and shit at the box office. Fam, you don't even sell like that. You don't even sell like that. I think it does somewhere in the region of 150K. Okay, so you run of the mill PBC pay per view then. Basically, so you run of the mill PBC because 150,000 buys, son, that's not a lot of buys. It's really not. And I just thought it was curious that Oscar seems very vocal and very sympathetic towards the plight of Terrence Crawford. He actually tagged him to several tweets. And I thought to myself, you know, everything is relationships, everything is networking. And if you could open up a channel to him and talk to him and make him an offer and see if he likes it and work something out, whether it's a multi-fight deal or fighting on a fight-by-fight basis, that would be a very good idea for you, for your fighters. You know, you need guys with belts. You need a champion. And you need champions for your fighters to fight. Well, Terrence Crawford is free. Al Heyman shattered. I'm not going to talk with these. I'm not going to keep talking to these bums and these broke motherfuckers. I ain't going to be arguing with y'all about some shit I motherfucker said 4 years ago. That shit probably don't even happen. I said that. It's the videos is up. I've been saying the same shit on repeat for 4 years because Al Heyman is not good for making fights. De lo mío, que lo que manín. I like the fight. They have a lot of hate for each other, but I think they can sell it. Put on a good undercard. Ennis versus Stanionis. I could really go for that. If that's it, then I buy it. If they get Ennis versus Stanionis on the undercard, yeah, I will buy that shit. I would buy that shit. Drew says, money made Eddie and Oscar shake hands and squash the beef. Yeah, because those people over there, the travel and tourism industry in Abu Dhabi, they're trying to bring events that will promote tourism in that region of the world. One of them are boxing matches. You know, you can do boxing matches for the tourists when they're there. They could take in a nice boxing match, watch two people beat the hell out of each other. So that's by way of the travel and tourism agency that's over there in Abu Dhabi. The relationship they have with Eddie, the relationship they could end up having also with Oscar, because Oscar has fighters too. Oscar said, "You owe you $8 an hour." Yeah, man, like motherfucking, because it's like, yo, motherfuckers on Twitter, like, I say this sometimes, and sometimes the good thing about social media is the same thing that's the bad thing about social media. It gives everyone a platform, and you get to find out some really, cool things and some things that people have to say. But other times, it just gives people that shouldn't have a platform a platform. Like, if you gotta like pull up a Google stock image and use that as your profile picture just so you can feel comfortable acting like a fucking troll online, just go walk into traffic, bro. The planet don't need you. Humanity don't need you, bro. Stupid ass shit. And motherfuckers will be motherfucking 30 and 40 doing that dumb shit. Motherfucker, you too old for that shit. Burner accounts and shit. I hate when motherfuckers accuse me of that shit. That's insulting, bro. I don't need a burner account. I'll tell you to suck dick, and I want you to see my face when I tell you, suck dick. I don't need a burner account to do that. The fuck? I got no hair on my tongue. A good undercard, I'd pay also. You know what I mean? Shout out to Marco del Primo, que lo que I mean. Throw Pitbull versus Rolly on the undercard, and I won't ask for yo. I mean, oh shit! Oh shit! That caught me off guard, bro. Yeah, man, motherfuckers gonna start hitting up. Yo, we should do that. The next pay-per-view, hit up Errol's DM. We should all hit him up. Like, yo, what's good, Errol? What's good with the stream link, bro? Got the stream, yo. Got the boogie board. Got the boogie board so you can watch the fights. The free stream and shit. Yeah, man. That's fucking crazy, bro. They're like, damn, fam, you a boxer and you still in fights, homie? You supposed to be like a millionaire or some type of shit, right? And you still in fights? Shit. It's a fucking recession, bro. Fucking inflation, bro. Shit. Yo, we should all do that. Dead ass. Like the next fight that's on pay-per-view, let's all hit up Errol. He the plug. Errol was the plug, yo. Let's hit him up. Like, yo, Errol, what's goody with the link, bro? I know you got it. I know you be fire sticking it. Yo. What's goody, bro? Send me some money. Errol, it's hard out here, bro. It's tough out here, bro. IQ sin pelo en la lengua, ya tú sabes, manín. Yo no soy gatico, yo no tengo pelo en la lengua. I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. Exactly what I'm thinking. I was goody Candace, was goody Ralph. Got me? Spence got the stick. I got the links, though. Ow. Yeah, yo. Spence out here on crack streams, bro. He out here on VPN, whatever, watching the free shows. I'm like, damn, son, Al don't pay you enough that you could buy the fight. You got to steal it. Damn, son. Like, so what, you be thinking about that $80? You be thinking about that shit? I don't know, man. I don't fucking know, man. Fucking shit is nuts, man. Fucking shit. Post the link for the people on Twitter. Late night boxing talks. Maybe I'll get a couple of trolls in here. Troll me. Oh shit. Where's the fucking link, bro? Whatever it is. Copy. All right. Oh, wait, not that link. I don't want to use that link. That'll let them in the chat. There you go. And yeah, yo. You know what I mean? Cop just said ped test on Usyk scrapped fight. Really? What, he tested positive for another ped? Who you got, Plant or Benavidez? Early prediction. Man, I'm going to be real with you, bro. Jack, can I be real with you? I think that's a good fight, but I don't really give a fuck about that shit. All right, we got the homie Low in the building, Low Henshaw in the building. We going to chop it up about the madness on Twitter. What's goody, Low?
It's going good. Yeah, the madness on Twitter, that seems to never stop.
Yeah, man, it's been a madhouse the last 2 days, really. 2 days. It's been ridiculous. But what do you make of what Crawford said?
Um, really, I have nothing to disagree with what he said because I'm not in those, I'm not in those rooms when these deals are being made. So to be honest, I have to take him at face value, take him for his word because there's nothing else being said by anyone else involved in that situation. That's all I can do is, agree with it.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I mean. Like I'm not gonna pretend that I don't have a set of views when it comes, because I've never believed that this fight was gonna happen, and I've been saying it for a very long time for just this reason. Like I just don't feel like they're negotiating in good faith. And when he says what he says, at least for me, it feels like confirmation of what I've always thought. They're like, bro, they're not offering you a real deal to do a fight, because when the vice president of communications starts off the year by saying that I don't think this fight is going to sell and I just think that people are going to steal it, well, that doesn't sound very encouraging.
I'm going to ask something, and there is no intent behind it. This is a genuine question because I don't know the answer. Is we're talking about how Spence Crawford cannot get made. People are saying it's because it's PBC, and that very well may be true. My question, though, is how was it so easy to get Fury and Wilder off the table when Fury's not even a free agent? So there was even more caution tape to get through.
Well, I believe that the Fury fight, you know what I honestly believe? If Wilder would have won that fight, this fight would have happened. If Wilder would have won. But they entered into a co-promotional situation where I remember Bruce Trempler tweeted after the second fight that due to piracy, the event lost money. They spent a lot of money. The guaranteed purses were astronomical, like huge from the first fight. I remember the reported purses for the first fight, both of them together, came out to about $7 million, right? In the second fight, the numbers that were out there, just the estimates, anywhere between 25 to 30 million for each fighter, right? That puts the fight anywhere between 50 million and 60 million. The estimated reported break-even point for the show was somewhere around 1.1 million, and it didn't do that. It did around 800,000. That's the ballpark. At least that's the number that was put out there by the journos. So when you think about that, if you're the PBC, you did this co-promotional thing and your fighter got his butt kicked. You lost money. It didn't work out well for you. It worked out well for Fury more or less, but it didn't work out well for you. And you're not going to be in a hurry to enter into another co-promotional situation on the heels of that. So there's that to consider, And then they look at, but I remember what happened with Leo Santa Cruz and Rigo. And Leo Santa Cruz, out of his own mouth, said that when Golden Boy Promotions was trying to do that fight, Al Heyman blocked it. He said that out of his own mouth. That's not speculation. He said that. So they looked at Rigo as being more trouble than he's worth. And I've always believed, they look at Crawford as being more trouble than he's worth. They don't really see the value in the fight. And like I said, Tim Smith, he started off this year saying that, people are just going to steal this fight. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to make it successful. It kind of tells you what you need to know, that how they feel about the show. It's a risky show. They don't want to pay Crawford an arm and a leg to do the show. It's like it all gels, at least for me.
What's wild to me, though, is in this day and age, boxing, there's more fighting in the boardroom, so to speak, than there is in the ring. And people used to not talk about contract negotiations. They never talked about business structures of these different platforms and networks. That was just never in the conversation. It was always just purely on the sport itself. So my question, though, is what has changed since the days of, the best fighting the best every other week on TV, it seemed, to what we have now? What changed in the business?
Exclusivity deals. That's really what changed. And the difference between then and now, I would say, is fighters were paid. I believe that they were paid based on the value of the show. Whereas now you have a lot of fighters, they have contract minimums. And they have contract minimums because they're exclusive to networks, which creates those political boundary lines that are difficult to cross. Like you got a Shakur Stevenson. Well, if you want him to fight on a Matchroom show, you better offer him a fuck ton of money, because Top Rank is already paying him very good money. If for some reason you want him to go to your show, it's going to cost you, and that prevents a lot of fights from happening. You know, I mean, even at lower tier levels where you have a guy like Thurman, he wasn't doing a whole lot in the last 2 years. What was really stopping him from going to top rank to fight Terrence Crawford for the WBO title before? You know, after he lost the belt to Manny, after all of that is done, what were you doing that you couldn't go over there? And it's obvious. It's the political boundary lines created by these exclusivity deals. It's just that with PBC guys, you often hear them say that they're their own bosses. You often hear them antagonize people saying, send me a contract. And it gives people a false representation of what's actually going on. That, bro, you're not at liberty to go over there. You don't have that kind of autonomy. You know what I mean? You're saying it's kind of like you're barking behind a fence. And where fans that are privy to this, where they get irritated is because they know you're barking behind the fence. Like, bro, you talking about, you telling Crawford, right? Send me a contract. You're not going to sign it? Come on, now. I said it then. Like, you're not going to. He was making a whole thing about a year ago. Crawford this, Crawford that, Crawford this, Crawford that, like 20 fucking interviews. And, you know, I said on my channel, they're not going to fight, man. None of that shit is going to result in a fight. None of that shit. Right? It's just talk. And now you see, like, the kid, Isaac Cruz. His dad gets to talking about Vasyl Lomachenko, says, oh, my son would beat him. He'd do him like Salido. Okay, so you're going to pursue the fight? You know the answer. No. Golden Boy allegedly offered Isaac a 7-figure offer over a year ago to come, well, immediately after the Gervonta Davis fight, to come over and fight Ryan. You didn't take it. And Sean Gibbons said, no, it has to be on Showtime. It has to be on show. It's like, it's the same thing on repeat. So what changed the infrastructure of the business are the exclusivity deals that promoters have with networks. That these are the Showtime fighters, these are the ESPN fighters, and these are the DAZN fighters. You know, it's the exclusivity deals that prevents fights from happening.
Well, with those exclusivity deals, like how long do you think? Because we can already see it's starting to kind of crumble. A lot of fights being made. Like, how long do you think this can survive like this? And then what else do you think could replace it if it falls under?
Well, as far as, see, everybody's not doing business the same way. For example, Matchroom, right? You got Alicia Baumgartner, Matchroom fighter. Eddie Hearn didn't get in her way. Matchroom didn't get in her way. You know, the people at Boxer, a Top Rank, right? Whichever one, they made her an offer to come over to their side to do a very important fight, and Matchroom didn't get in the way. They didn't let the politics get in the way. You see what I mean? Not everybody's doing business the same way. I remember 3 years ago, Top Rank, Jose Ramirez, Mighty Mo Hooker. They both had titles in the 140-pound division. Top Rank let Jose go over there and get that money and get that belt. So I see people that are willing to work, you know, wiggle room to work out things. You know what I mean? But consistently with the PBC, what I see is that, nah, it's not going to go down, man. It's not going to go down. This is not going to happen.
You know what's so funny, though, about that type of dynamic is that it also exists in boxing gyms with coaches and boxers. Like, if you go into a gym, well, that coach is his coach, and he cannot go work out with this other coach, even though he may help him. He may be really good with strength and conditioning and can show him stuff, or he may be really good at teaching defensive boxing. But because that is not your coach, you're not going to go to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same dynamic.
It literally is. And boxing is, I mean, I feel that a bartering system between promotional outfits should be developed based on how many fighters they have at a given weight. And they just evaluate the value of each individual fight and say, okay, well, I'll let you have this fight if you let me. And it's way too idealistic, so I don't actually expect it to happen. But a bartering system to where, like, okay, well, look, I got Joe Cordina and he needs a unification match. So let's work something out to where maybe you send us our guy, or maybe we send him to you and you send us another guy at another weight and we could do a fight with him. You know, that's because this exclusivity thing, especially in America, see, the Brits are okay. They're okay. They got BT Sport, they have DAZN, and they have Sky Sports, and fights are happening. Their market is a vibrant, healthy market where people spend money. Here in America, and it's the exclusivity deals that are killing it. The fights you and I want to see, 9 times out of 10, they don't happen. They don't.
I think what could really help it would be the 4 governing bodies getting together being more standardized in the way that they create the rankings and really enforcing those mandatories, because what's stopping them from making Crawford's mandatory, Spence's mandatory, making them fight? Um, Nothing.
I
I
agree.
mean,
No, I
why
agree.
couldn't they do that?
But I mean, if we have that conversation, that kind of we can't have that kind of conversation without getting into the darker side of the sport. I'll give you an example. Errol Spence Jr. hasn't satisfied a mandatory for the IBF in 4 years. The last time he did it was 4 years ago, and it was Carlos Ocampo. We all know that he was sidelined 2 times due to medical issues, right? Coincidentally, Joe Cordina became IBF champion this year. This year. They stripped him this year because he had a hand injury and he couldn't satisfy his mandatory. So what you have to ask yourself is, so wait a minute, y'all stripped Joe because he got injured and he couldn't fight, but you didn't strip Errol. What's going on between you and Errol that you give him 4 years of leeway, but Joe Cordina gets stripped right away? What's going on? You see that they ordered Amanda Serrano versus Erica Cruz, right? The WBA ordered that fight. They put Amanda on the spot. But, I mean, not Amanda. They put Erica on the spot like, yo, when they order a fight, you comply with the order or they'll strip you. Why didn't you do that to Hyun Mi Choi? When's the last time you satisfied a mandatory? When's the last time she satisfied a mandatory? The energy is never consistent with these sanctioning bodies. And the inference you can make, without pointing any fingers at any particular sanctioning bodies, is that perhaps brown paper bags are being handed out because it's not consistent. The orders are not consistent. I don't know, man. Drew says, Cop just posted and tweeted an article. Pterodactyl says, he needs more money for Crawford. I guess. No wonder Wilder did 77,000 pay-per-view buys. Spence used to fight. Oh, you guys are terrible. You guys are terrible. LDBC says, hypothetically, El Camarón versus Tank. Who wins and how? Well, I'll say this. He's definitely strong. He's definitely big. He's definitely got an engine, right? But the difference between him and Usyk is that Usyk can make himself a very small target because he's very small, and he kind of mimics that peekaboo style where he's moving side to side, getting around the jab. Zepeda doesn't really do that, and he's actually bigger than Usyk, so he's a bigger target. So it's like if you apply pressure on Tank, you give him countering opportunities. The hope is that you just hit him with so much shit and don't give him enough room that he becomes flustered, and then you'll start getting off punches. You know what I mean? That's the hope. I think it's a great fight, but I also think it's a fight that will never see the light of day. It won't happen. Golden Boy fighter won't see the light of day. Real says, Heyman only wants his favorite entities to go in on a fight for the purse. He hated dealing with a free agent in Crawford. That's right, because he couldn't put his thumb on him. Promoters ruin exclusivity. Yeah. I believe that exclusivity deals should really be exclusive to fighters like Canelo that are worth a lot of money. But not every fighter should be subject to these political boundary lines that limit your earning power, that limit your activity rate as a fighter, because you could be fighting more often if you weren't limited to just fighting in-house fights or whatever fight dates Showtime or Fox gives you. If you had more autonomy, you could fight more often, you could make more money, build a bigger buzz because you're more active. That's why fighters were so popular when I was a kid, because they fought more often. Now you'll be lucky if you see him once a year. So it's crazy. So beyond that, what do you think about Bivol Ramirez, Lo?
I have not watched enough of Ramirez to even really give that one a honest, accurate prediction. But I mean, I like Bivol. I like how he did with Canelo, obviously. I'm honestly very interested to see him fight Better Biev, but that's probably going to be a while away if it ever happens.
Well, here's what you need to know about Ramirez. If you saw William Zepeda, if you caught just glimpses of William Zepeda this past weekend, He's that kind of guy. You know, he's a mid-range to inside guy. His best punches are his hooks. Wants to be close to you. Throws a lot of punches and bears down on you. He's a body puncher, which I think is very. It makes this fight intriguing that he regularly goes to the body. He regularly goes there. That's the kind of thing that can take Bivol's legs away if Bivol's not careful. If he couple of shots to the body, he'll start feeling like he's in a different place, and his legs will slow down. And if his legs slow down, he can't navigate the ring. He's subject to more punishment, gets caught in the corner. A lot of different things could happen. So that's more or less what Zurdo is, a mid-range to inside pressure guy, a southpaw, because, it's in the name, zurdo. He's a southpaw, very big. He may weigh as high as 200 pounds the night of the fight when he rehydrates, because the WBA doesn't have a rehydration cap. So he may be noticeable discrepancy in size. Bivol is not a big light heavyweight.
So he's a bigger Joe Calzaghe, pretty much.
Yeah. Except he's not as fast.
Yeah, Joe Calzaghe is one of my favorite fighters. But when you said southpaw, pressure fighter, all that, that's definitely Joe Calzaghe right there.
Yeah, he's a volume guy, throws a lot of punches. He's a southpaw. He just doesn't have Joe's speed. He's not fast. He doesn't have hand speed per se. You don't look at him and say, wow, that guy's fast. What you say is, wow, that guy's big, and he throws a lot of punches. So that's kind of the advantage that he has over Bivol. I personally think that a lot of people are they're writing him off a little bit too easy. Like, yeah, Bivol has a neater, tidier style. But a guy that size, throwing that many punches, who also finishes the combinations with shots to the body, is dangerous.
Yeah, the bigger guys, they typically don't throw a lot of punches. So when you see it, it really makes a difference.
And this guy throws a lot of punches. What you want to do is you want to go to your DAZN app. And these fights didn't last long, you understand, the ones I'll tell you to watch. Go to DAZN and you watch Zurdo versus Bosel, or Zurdo versus Barrera. Watch those and you'll get a good idea right then and there, because he fights every fight the same way. He doesn't change much about what he does. He's always a mid-range to inside guy. He's always bearing down on you, and he'll sneak in a couple of shots to the body. You'll feel him, drop your hands, he'll hit you in the face. He's that kind of guy. He's not streamlined. He's not a finesse guy like Bivol. He's pressure guy, But he's a good fighter. I don't think he's a bad fighter. I just don't think he's not like a finesse guy. He's not like a pure boxer or anything like that. He's straightforward. What you see is what you get. That's Zurdo. Not a bad fighter, though. Not a bad fighter. As far as the fight, I haven't made an official prediction yet. I want to look at these guys one more time, watch a couple more fights and see how I'm feeling. Reach out to the cosmos and see if it tells me anything. But I don't think people should overlook Zurdo. I really don't. Fighters have a habit of, they'll surprise you because they're in a big moment, because it's a big moment and they're inspired. You know what I mean? That this is a better fight and a more important fight than any fight he's had. I don't know that Bivol keeps him off all that easy, but that's what everybody else is saying. Oh, yeah, Bivol outboxes him. Easier said than done, man. Easier said than done.
My general rule of thumb is to not predict a fight until weigh-ins, at least.
Until when?
Until weigh-ins.
Oh, right.
You've got a better idea of where they are mentally. And to me, boxing is a very mental, spiritual sport. And like you even saw it with Lopez and Kambosos, like all that buildup. I thought Lopez was gonna win until weigh-ins, until I saw how he was looking at Kambosos, his expression. I could just tell something was way off, and it was then I knew he wasn't going to.
I agree. Weigh-ins, that is the safest way to play it. Get one last look at them. Their condition. Do they look gray? Do they look gaunt? Anything in their eyes? Because, sometimes the eyes never lie. I remember Anthony Joshua walking to the ring for the first Ruiz fight. You could see something ain't right with this guy, man. Like, he didn't look right. I'm like, yo, something ain't right. I've seen every Anthony Joshua fight. Something don't look right about this guy walking to that ring. But, you know what I mean? We got that. We got Cameron versus McCaskill. A lot of people want me to make a pick, but I'm not going to because I love them both. Rick Ramos, shout out to Rick Ramos, friend of the channel, always been kind to me, always been gracious with his time. Shout out to Jessica. And Chantel. Chantel's just a favorite of mine, so I can't pick nobody to win that fight. All I can say is stylistically, Chantel has the edge. That's all I can say. That yeah, she has the style for somebody that wants to mold him down. She has the style for that. That like she can deal with that. It's just Jessica's very strong. She throws a lot of punches. Got a very awkward style that it's just hard to try to have a boxing match with somebody like that. It's a great fight though. It's a great fight. Other than that, boxing Twitter is crazy, man. It's crazy.
Rick Glazer, can we talk a little bit about that little meme that went around?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he got mad when they announced.
He is on damage control. I love it. He was quick to deny it.
Yeah, he was mad though. Like he was like he's putting exclamation points in his tweet.
He put out his personal cell phone number for someone to call him so he could go over the details of what was the deal. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I was like, yo, Rick, people don't really believe you trying Black Brown, right? like he was like, because he felt, I guess he thought that somebody might actually believe it, but like, nah, everybody know it. It's just jokes, man. Like, he's a smart dude, man. He be knowing his stuff, man. He be accurate about a lot of stuff.
The first time that I met him in person was actually when I met Bruce Trampler at the National Golden Gloves. And I walked up to Bruce because I knew who he was. He didn't know me, but I was like, hey, what's your name? My name's Lo Hanshaw. And Rick was actually sitting next to him. And I didn't know it at the time until later on when I see on Twitter, everyone's angry tweeting at this guy. And I click it and I was like, who's Rick Glazer? And I recognized him.
Well, most of the people that say mean things to Rick is because Rick doesn't really like Al Heyman's PBC, so that explains that. He's often said that they're a cancer to boxing. He's often said that, so a lot of the hostility that he receives is basically because of that. But like I said, I've seen many of his tweets. I've followed his tweets for a couple of years now, and he's not often wrong. Like he's not often wrong about things. So a lot of stuff he says, usually it checks out. So he's connected. He knows stuff. But yeah, if people say mean things, that would be the why. It's everything in boxing is clicks now, political boundary lines and stuff, especially on boxing Twitter. I have like over 100 people blocked because I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna be arguing with y'all. I'm too old for that shit. Like I'm fucking pushing 40, bro. I ain't gonna be on here arguing with y'all. Shit. But it's fun at times. Do you think that Crawford versus Spence will happen though? What does your instincts tell you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, do I think it's gonna happen? It can happen. Honestly, I think what Terrence Crawford is doing is pretty smart in answering the public's questions about it because it does generate more interest. It generates more revenue in that respect. I feel like if he keeps talking on it and doesn't let up, I think it could. But at the point that it's going to take, like how long time it's going to take, will it be worth it by then? That I don't know. We could see another Brooke versus Khan situation where it's just happening a little too late.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like that now because they're both They're both like you remember Trinidad and De La Hoya fought when they were 26, and I think Leonard he fought Duran. He wasn't even in his 30s yet. So it's like this is taking a long time, man. And it's like the demand for it isn't. I don't even know that the demand is growing for the fight. To be honest.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of emotionally draining for a lot of people. What would be terrible though? Oh, I shouldn't even speak this into existence, but I mean, it would just be terrible if like it got signed, everything was cool, it was announced, we're building up to it, and then just for some non-business related reason, it just gets canceled.
I'm kind of like psychologically, I'm really looking forward to Crawford versus Ortiz. To be honest, that's where I'm at with it. I'm not really holding out hope that they work it out. I think they've had plenty of time to work it out, and if they haven't yet, it's not promising. But we could still end up getting Crawford versus Ortiz, and that's a good fight.
Yeah, that's a very good fight. I would really like to see, which I know this is a completely different weight class. I want to see Fundora versus Harrison at 154. I would love to see that fight.
I think that's a very good fight. because of how Fundora fights. I've seen Harrison in a situation like that before, where he fought a very tall guy for the weight, Willie Nelson, I believe it was.
Yeah, Willie Nelson, I know him.
And Willie, I remember Willie knocked him out. Fundora's range is similar to Willie's. He likes to be close to the guy. He likes to be right up on the guy and bear down on him, kind of like how Jarrett Hurd used to do. So it could end up being like that, to where Fundora just those, because Tony wants to box. You know, he's a pure boxer. He wants to box. He wants to keep you at arm's length, but he wants to stay behind his jab. And because Fundora is so tall and he likes to crowd guys, might end up looking like the Willie Nelson fight. Or he might end up testing Fundora's chin, because Fundora has been dropped before. So
Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty interesting matchup, because I think a lot of people are saying they want to see Fundora and Charlo, but I think this is a good fight to gauge whether he's ready for that level of, the game or not.
yeah, I agree. And I think we'll get Charlo versus Zoo early. I like Zoo. I think he has real promise. I think he shows world class stuff, but I don't think he's ready for Jermell. So I think he's gonna get knocked out.
One fight I want to see that literally has nothing to do with the advancement of the sport, but just pure boxing fan morale is Raleigh versus Broner.
I mean, now political boundary, like I get it, but Broner's with Black Prime now. Yeah, I mean, he over
That shocked me. They haven't even put on a show yet, and he's already signed to him.
He's supposed to be coming back. According to Broner, he's supposed to fight 3 times next year. The value of the deal, I think, is supposed to be a $10 million deal. It's like $10 million over 3 fights. And I think they said that, I think he said he's coming back in February. That'll be his first fight. Who he's going to fight, I have absolutely no idea.
That's what I'm wondering is who are they going to be able to wheel and deal with to get him fights?
I have no idea. It would have to be someone foreign. I can only imagine, because everything is so political now. Well, you ain't going to get no ESPN fighters, right? You ain't going to get no PBC fighters, so you probably going to get somebody foreign that doesn't have an American broadcast affiliate, a fighter from a stable that has no American broadcast affiliate. So I don't know, maybe Sebastian Formella, the guy that Sean fought right before he fought Crawford. Maybe he fights that guy. I don't really have the stomach for Broner fights anymore, like the actual fights. The build-up is okay, but the actual fights is like, nah, son.
The last few fights, I don't know if it's the last few fights, but I know the last few announcements of, oh, I'm back, he pulls out for whatever reason. Do you think that he's going to actually step back in the ring?
Yeah, because look, I don't want to downplay mental health, right? But I said it then. He didn't pull out because of mental health. Eddie Hearn had made him an offer to fight Conor Benn. It was a 7-figure offer. He didn't take the offer, but it's a nice offer, 7 figures for Adrian Broner, right? So they pass on that, and they put him in there with Omar Figueroa. And just asking myself a common sense question: did they offer him for Omar Figueroa what he could have made with Conor Benn? And I say no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why you pulled out, because you don't stand to make the same money from this Figueroa fight that you could have made from this Conor Benn fight. For the longest time, Broner has been taking to social media, and he's been consistently complaining about the money. He's consistently complained about that. So for me, he didn't pull out because he has some psychological shit going on. He pulled out because the money ain't right. He don't like the money.
When was his last fight?
I think it was Giovanni Santiago last year, I think. Dominican guy. I think he's a Dominican guy. I know it was Giovanni Santiago. I believe that's the last guy that he fought, and I believe that was at the beginning of last year. So it's been a minute since he fought, and it wasn't a good fight.
I didn't see that fight.
You didn't miss nothing. You didn't miss nothing, though. That shit was not a good fight.
That one up. Gotcha, noted.
Yeah, that shit was not a good fight. Wasn't a good fight. And that's where Broner's at. Like the last entertaining fight that I seen with Broner had to be the Jesse Vargas fight. And that was what, 3 years ago. It was a good fight. It was good to watch. They was punching, but that's the last good one I seen. How he looked with Mikey, he looked terrible. How he looked with Manny, he looked terrible. So
do you think that has to do with talent, or do you think that has to do with dedication?
Dedication.
Yeah.
Broner's got a chin, man. Broner can take a punch. He can give a good punch too. When he wants to let his hands go, there's power. There's power there. But when you're not motivated, and also the lifestyle that he lives, he drinks a lot. That shit. You ain't supposed to be doing that shit, but he does
not
that
with
shit.
boxing.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that shit, but he does that shit. So you are what you eat.
What do you think of Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora 3? Is it just going to be rinse and repeat?
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, it's a frivolous fight. It's a frivolous fight. The only reason they conjured up Derek is because Derek still has a cult following in the UK that is willing to pay to see him fight. But as far as sport, there's no point in fighting him again. The last time you fought him, you made him quit. In his stool. He quit on his stool. So I don't imagine that all these years later, after he's been stopped and gone through all these wars, that it's going to be any better. No, he's probably going to get banged up again. It's not a good fight. It's not a good fight at all. I would have preferred to see Fury versus Michael Hunter, Fury versus Bacol, but they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to put him in there with a risky guy. So this is what we're going to get.
I'd say somewhere between March or April, we're going to get Fury versus Usyk.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one, and I say it all the time till I'm blue in the face, but seriously, you're going to have two heavyweights, both undefeated, going for undisputed. We've not had that since like the 80s, and it was Mike Tyson and somebody else, but that was before the four belt era, so this will be the first time in the four belt era. To me, there's just so much more on the line with those two fighting, not just with belts, not just with legacy, but also stylistically. You've got Fury, who he's fast for his size, but Usyk is also very fast, very skillful for his size. And Fury doesn't typically fight movers. He fights typical heavyweights who will stand just right in front of you and take every hit you throw at him. Usyk moves.
That's the
Usyk's got
advantage.
those crazy angles.
That's the advantage that he has over most every heavyweight that he shares the ring with, that he's the mover. He's the moving target. He's the tricky one. And I remember on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said that he struggles with little guys because they're slippery. He said that about the Cunningham fight, that when he was fighting Cunningham, it was hard to hit him because he's a little guy. He's quick. He's fast. He's slippery. And it's like, well, if Cunningham was giving you problems, or if that was a very difficult fight for you, I could only imagine what this is going to be like. Because this guy's a southpaw. To me, he's got the best feet in the whole heavyweight division. The whole division.
Yeah, and what he did with Cunningham is after Cunningham dropped him, he was like, okay, I cannot fight this guy like a typical heavyweight. I've got to step it up a little bit. And he laid his weight all over Cunningham just to tire him out. And so he's probably going to attempt that with Usyk. The problem is I just don't think it's possible to do that against Usyk unless Fury is just really that good, and then he, makes me eat my words.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, this guy's a southpaw, so he's going to be moving to his right. I don't know how Fury's going to decide to fight him. Will he fight him orthodox? Will he fight him southpaw? Because if he fights him orthodox, well, that'll give Usyk an advantage. He could just keep moving to his right and staying outside of Fury's jab, so he won't be there for Fury to bring over a right hand. If he keeps going this way, staying on the outside of his jab. Usyk's got pivots. You don't really see a lot of heavyweights pivot and shift. You don't see a lot of them do that. He does that shit. You know what I mean? And he is quick. He does have fast feet. He does have fast hands. One thing that he does that I think most people don't notice is people get fucking tired fighting him, man. Round after round.
Oh yeah, he's very active. He makes you fight back.
Yeah, and they get tired. And like when he knocked out Bellew was doing all right, but he got tired, and then boop boop, it was over after that. Just got tired, 1-2, and he out the motherfucking shit. And I'm like, the advantages that Fury normally brings to the table, and the challenges that he poses opposite to the man opposite the ring, he has not dealt with somebody that challenges him in that way. That you got a good gas tank, he has a good gas tank. You can move, he can move. Or you fight southpaw, you lead with the right, he can lead with the right. I think he's a better southpaw than you are because you don't throw as many straight lefts as he does. He don't need to set up the left. He times it so well, he could just pop you with it without throwing a jab. Just, right? He did that to Josh. He did that to a lot of guys, really. That's like his signature punch is the straight left. You know, he'll just pop you with it out the clear blue sky. It's a very challenging fight. I don't really think that I don't think Usyk can hurt him, but he can make him tired. And if you're tired, things could happen.
It's a toss-up for me, especially not just the physical side of it too, but the mental side of it. Is Fury's very good at getting in people's heads. He's very good with his words. He knows what to say to get into somebody's head, get him scared, get him rattled. But Usyk, that stuff he doesn't work on him. He's very
he's
just even keeled.
Capricorn. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Fucking special people out here. You know the list of Capricorns, right? Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Felix Trinidad, Customato, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., Alexander Usyk, Josh Taylor, Delphine Pursoon, Raven Chapman. We out here, yo. Kenshiro, who just beat the hell out of Hiroto Kaiguchi yesterday morning. We out here, yo. We be out here, yo.
It's a strong argument.
It's a very Floyd Patterson. You know what I'm saying? He's a Capricorn. You know what I'm saying?
Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz is a Capricorn.
Vinny Paz is a Capricorn. Gabe Rosado is a Capricorn. Derek Chisora is a Capricorn. It kind of gives you that idea. You see what I'm saying? Like, all that shit that Fury say, and I've said that myself, like, yeah, it works on guys, you know? Probably worked on Vlad. Probably bothered Wilder a bit. You could see it was bothering Wilder. That shit is not going to bother Usyk, though. Like, he don't care about none of that shit you talking about. He don't care about none of that shit, man.
Yeah, so they're both going to go in that fight completely just even, you know, mentally, I think, too. I think it's going to be a battle of wits. It's going to be a battle of mind. It's also going to be, you know, the physical battle itself. I'm really excited to see that, and I really, really hope it gets made.
I hope. I mean, the encouraging thing is that all signs point to yes, it will happen. We know Egis Klimas has a great relationship with Top Rank. You know, we know that he works with them a lot. A lot of his fighters fight on Top Rank. Frank Warren said the other day they've got the preliminary schedule mapped out for Fury. You know, Derek in December, Usyk in late February or March, then maybe Joe Joyce in the summer. I don't think he fights Joe Joyce personally.
I don't think he fights Joe Joyce either, but I will tell you, Joe Joyce really shocked me in that last fight. I did not know he had that much of a tank.
Oh yeah, man. It's since he reminds me of Foreman. It's like it looks slow from the outside coming, you know, from the outside where we're watching it. But in that ring, them punches land, man. And I picked him. I picked him to stop Joseph Parker. Like, Joe's not going to be able to keep this guy off. He's going to get knocked out.
He just has like an iron chin.
We'll see. You know, we'll see. Because now the experiment that everybody wants to conduct is Wilder versus Joyce. You know, and I don't know. I don't know how many of them right hands you could take, if any. You know, I don't know. But then again, I could see because Wilder's 37, because he's had several surgeries to that arm, I can see you breaking your hand on his face and he don't stop coming after you. I can see that too. That happens. It happened to Tank with Isaac Cruz. He broke his back. I think he broke his backhand. Yeah, it was his backhand, I think, on Isaac Cruz. And kid wouldn't stop coming. It happens. You know, Wilder's not getting any younger. Neither is Joe, but Joe don't have that much wear and tear. Wilder does. You know, so I don't even know if they're ever gonna fight. Great box office fight, but the great fights usually don't happen. The really great ones that you're like, wow, how's this gonna end?
That sounds very bleak. Thank you for sharing.
That's not. I mean, like we're getting good fight. We're getting Chocolatito versus Estrada 3. We're getting Bivol versus Ramirez, Cameron versus McCaskill. We already got Shields versus Marshall, Mayer versus Baumgartner. I just want to make a confession. I made that meme.
The salt one?
Yeah, I did that.
That was pretty good editing.
Yeah, I'm really good at that stuff. And I just sent it to her like, yo, use this. I gave her the force, the powers.
She ran with it, and it caught Michaela's eye. That's for sure.
I mean, you got to love what they're doing for the sport, man. The both of them, because it's like people are talking about them, and they're not talking about it like, oh, it's two girls. It's two boxers. It's two boxers that hate each other, and you love watching it. Like it's like, yeah, this is what the sport, especially in America, because the European women's boxing scene has always been more advanced here. You know, advanced. Cecilia Brækhus fought in front of 10,000 people more than once. She been fighting in front of big crowds. You know, she was undisputed. She had like 25 title defenses or something like that. And it's been good for her. The UK boxing scene, every single major network over there has a female fighter. Every single one. Sky, Zone, BT, Wasserman has a couple of girls. You know what I mean? Here in America, there's a proliferation of American talent, but they're not signed to major platforms. They're not signed. It's terrible. You got this young fighter. She's a southpaw, pure boxer. Zarina McCoy, Raquel Miller, O'Shea Jones. She just went pro not that long ago. There's a couple other ones, man. Tiara Brown. She's a good boxer. She's a really good boxer. They don't got deals though, you know, and it sucks. There's a Spanish girl, Diana Estrada. I think she's based out of Portland, Oregon. Entertaining fighter. They don't got a deal though. They don't got a deal. It sucks. I remember once I talked to Heather Hardy. Heather Hardy said that one of the chief managers of something at the Barclays, he was actually begging Al Heyman to sign her because she sells a lot of tickets. And she told me during a Q&A I did here on the channel, she was like, yo, Al Heyman don't want to sign no girls, man. It's like, wow, bro, I don't even understand that. I don't get it. Fight's a fight, but
Yeah, and what I think now that they're going to start seeing, especially with this Shields Marshall card that we just saw, and it had Maren Baumgartner on it. I don't think they're going to have like a change of heart about women's boxing, but they will see the advantage business wise, how easy it is to get these really high profile fights signed. The women have a lot more to prove, in my opinion, as far as, you know, they got to show that they're worth the money you're paying for, that they're worth the investment these promoters are putting into them, they're worth the network time. Um, so the fights are going to get signed a lot easier, as we've seen with this last card. Um, I think it will start seeing like a more positive move in that
hopefully.
aspect, but from a business reason, not because change of heart, but just for a business.
From a business perspective, and I get what you mean. That like even if they're not big proponents of women fighting, which I don't understand that, but it is what it is. This fight's a fight, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You leave a club, it's two girls fighting. What, you not gonna watch it because it's two? Come on, B. You know you're gonna watch it, right? But from a business standpoint, they're not as expensive as the guys, you know, and hopefully that does change. But right here and right now, they're not as expensive as the guys, so you can get a really good fight at $300,000 total. Let's just even less than that. There's some girls that are willing to fight for $50,000. Some less than that. Some have gotten way less than that. So if you think about it, like, okay, well, I want to get this champion versus this champion in there. There are champions you could get them in there $200,000 whole thing. That's it. That's it.
Absolutely, there's less overhead financially, and there's only to gain because it is starting to gain more traction. Especially when you've got buildups like Maren Baumgartner. A lot of people tune in just for that fight alone, not even for Shields and Marshall. But then you've got a lot of Olympic fans, people who very well pay attention to amateur sports who are tuning in just to see that one get settled. So it's really interesting to see where these boxing fans are starting to get more into it, and I think the boxing business is starting to respond to that.
Yeah, because I mean, women are more women are more marketable. They're more marketable. Like, there's some guys that are great fighters. Like Terrence is a great fighter, but his personality doesn't always translate in his interviews. He doesn't like media. Yeah, I understand it. Like, you don't like people probing you. I understand where that comes from. But the women are more marketable and more versatile in a marketing standpoint. You could have an excellent boxer that can also be a spokesperson for anything from clothing to makeup to shampoo. That's that many more sponsors, that many more endorsements, that many more eyes on the sport. But a lot of, boxing is run by a lot of old guys, and they need to wake up. Like, yo, dog, like, yeah, girls fighting is normal, bro. All right, my sisters, all they did when we was kids was fight. Right? Fight each other, fight guys, fight the neighbors. That's all they did. It's normal, all right? It's like, it's completely normal. Women been fighting. It's not, some weird, odd thing. Like, yeah, girls fight. The dog like shit. You never see
Yeah,
it.
I started boxing back about 11 years ago. and I was the only girl in our gym, and people didn't know how to act at first. Whenever I first went in there, they didn't take me seriously, really. And then I won't say his name now because he's pro now, but whenever we were teenagers, we sparred, and I actually knocked him out of the ring. We were the same size though, but I knocked him out of the ring, and then after that, it kind of changed. But it's so weird though how people, they just assume because they're women that they're not gonna it's just not gonna be as exciting of a fight. They actually put on more entertaining fights than the men. They don't sit back. They have 2-minute rounds. They have to fight.
Yeah, and that's why I'm actually a fan of the 2 minute round. I've talked to a lot of female boxers, different opinions. Some people like 2 minute round. Some people want more time because more time, more knockouts. As a consumer, which is how I tend to look at everything. I'm a consumer. I spend money to watch boxing, etc., etc. I like the 2 minute round. It's a fast paced fight. There's no time to dick around. Get right to it, and it's action packed. The fight that they got on as the co-main event to Zapata versus Prograis is Yocasta Valle versus this Argentinian champion, light flyweight champion, unified, Evelyn Bermudez. That's gonna be a war. That's gonna be a fucking war. And I know, looking at them, bueno, Yocasta's from Costa Rica. She's not expensive. She's not gonna give you a hard time. She'll get in there, won't cost you that much money. Evelyn Bermudez, she mostly fights in Argentina, so you don't have to pay her an arm and a leg. Business-wise, you can make a lot of great fights happen just because of that, but also because of the talent level. Evelyn is an action fighter. She's not here to stay behind the jab. She wants to knock you out. And Yocasta, she's not the biggest puncher, but she throws punches in bunches, so you won't get sleepy rounds where there's lulls in the action. And it's an inexpensive fight that is going to be a great fucking fight.
What do you think is next for Michaela Mayer? Like, because it looks like she's really pursuing a rematch with Alicia. She's, talking her shit on Twitter, trying to really get that rematch going. But what do you think realistically she's going to do next?
It depends on what happens this weekend with Jessica McCaskill, and it depends on what happens with Mary Spencer, Natasha Jonas, and Terry Harper at 154 pounds. Because the issue for Michaela is I don't believe Alicia is going to give her the time of day. Alicia has bigger fish to fry, and I understand it. Like, yeah, you want to go undisputed. I get it. Like, yeah, that's what Michaela would do in that situation. So I believe what's next, or what should be next for Michaela, is she should move up in weight, see if you can't get Jessica McCaskill should she lose. If she loses, see if you can't fight her at 147 for those belts. Because remember, Terry Harper moved up from 130 to 135 to 154. Natasha Jonas moved up from 130 to 135 to 154. And they're doing fine up there. Michaela's taller than them. She's got a bigger frame than them. She might feel better up there, stronger, not as depleted, cutting all the way down to 130, because she's not small for 130, for a super featherweight. Like, you're big for a super featherweight. You could fill out maybe 147, go up there, see what happens with them. Because what I anticipate is Natasha and Terry aren't going to stay up there. They can't. There's a girl there, Mary Spencer, bad motherfucker, man. Bad motherfucker. And she'll knock them. I love them both, but I don't got no hair on my tongue. I think she would knock them out easily. She's huge. She's fast. She's well schooled. She was in them same amateurs with Clarissa in them. She represented Canada. And she's a bad motherfucker, man. She's knocking out everything they put in front of her. She bought the fight Femke Hermans, I believe it's in December. Canadian-based card. Eye of the Tiger is probably going to show up on ESPN Plus because they have a deal with ESPN Plus and in Top Rank. She's knocking out every fucking thing, man. Everything. And Terry, I love Terry, but she don't win that fight. I love Tasha. She don't win that fight. And she's very close to becoming the mandatory challenger for both of them. I don't think they're going to stay up there. It's a high risk, low reward. So when they come down, who are they going to fight? Michaela Mayer. Good fight. Michaela has some value. She's in a very big fight. You could do a decent fight with them up until such a time as the sanctioning bodies decide to order them to fight Mary. I don't think they should fight Mary. I'll watch it, but I'm going to be scared for them.
Another fighter, too, like Clarissa Shields, I don't know who she can fight next. I don't know what I just don't think she's beatable at this point. unless she has a rematch with Marshall.
Well, I can think of 3 girls that she could fight, right? The problem is the profile of those fights probably won't get Clarissa the kind of money she wants. There's an unbeaten fighter she just fought on Jake Paul's undercard, Jadeja Green. She knocked out, she made Suarez quit. I predicted that. I'm like, Jadeja's a bad motherfucker. You know, she's a bad motherfucker. Like, this is a real live one right here. She could give Clarissa a fight. I don't know if she beats her, but she could give her a good fight. Clarissa's got an old arch nemesis that goes by the name Raquel Miller. I believe she's based out of San Diego or San Francisco or somewhere over there, saying something. She's an unbeaten fighter. She's a good fighter. There's also Danielle Perkins. It's just that would require Clarissa to move up in weight. I don't know if she's ready to do that, but Danielle Perkins, she's unbeaten. She's very big, and it's a real David and Goliath kind of fight. That'll be, for me, a true test because, you know, Clarissa, she came down from 68, you know. Came down from 68 to 60, and you came down from 60 to 54, then you went back up. You haven't really gone up from 68, where you debuted, up to 75. You know what I mean? So there's at least 3 fights she could have. The real problem is who's going to pay for them.
Right. That's the big thing. But like we said earlier about the way business is starting to respond to the growing traction of interest in women's boxing, I think that's probably going to help their future fights getting made and getting put on a network. I'm also curious though about when we'll see Alicia and Choi, because I'm not sure. I've not heard anything, unless you've heard something. I've not heard anything about what their plans are about moving forward with that.
I've heard. I talked to some people that would know, and it's moving forward. It should be in the first quarter of next year. It's moving forward. See, this is Choi's problem. Choi has a couple of girls on her trail by way of the WBA, and they're good fighters. They are good fighters. There's a German girl, Ramona Grafe, unbeaten, good amateur background, young, can box, and she's number 1. She's the WBA gold champion. If Choi don't do this fight, and I know she's doing it, at least based on what I've been told, it's a go. But if she were to try to avoid, let's say hypothetically, Alicia, well, your ass is grass, because Grafe will get you and she'll beat you, and you'll lose for less money than you could have made boxing Alicia. If Grafe for some reason is not available to fight you, right behind her is Delphine Persoon, and she'll knock you out. She'll beat you up real bad. She's a Capricorn, goddammit. And behind her is Rima Ayadi of France. She'll beat you also. The girls that are currently in the WBA right now, the top 3, top 5, they all beat Choi. And you don't want to lose to one of them for less money than you could make losing to Alicia. If you lose to Alicia, there's no shame in it. It's a unification match. It's undisputed. But if you lose to one of them, well, that's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, my question though has always been, and it's been this for a while, even since, you know, Michaela Mayer was pursuing her too, is like, why has she been allowed to sit on that belt for so long? Whenever they see like how exciting that division is in women's boxing, like why has she been allowed to just sit on that belt?
2 things. One, before the pandemic shut everything down, Hyunmi Choi was actually scheduled to fight Maiva Hamadouche. This was in 2020. It's before everything got shut down. It was supposed to go down in South Korea, but naturally the pandemic shut everything down, so the fight never materialized. That's one. More recently, I believe it was last year, she was supposed to be unifying titles with Terry Harper, but Terry suffered an injury. That's what sidelined her. She suffered an injury, and the fight got scrapped. And then when Terry came back, she fought Alicia Baumgartner, got knocked out. You see what I mean? So it's not that she hasn't wanted or hasn't been, even though part of it is her not being willing in some instances, because Michaela alleged that she tried to get Choi in the ring and Choi didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? There's that. And there has been some resistance, you know. This Choi fight could have happened before the Mayer fight. Better still, it's going to work out. She's not dumb. She knows if you don't fight Alicia, you're just going to end up losing to someone else or vacating your title, and you won't make any money. If you lose to Alicia, it's okay. She's one of the best in the world. So, you know, it's a thing. But she's on borrowed time because, like you said, and like we've been noticing, the women's divisions have traction now. That means there's network money flowing into these divisions. And the powers that be, they want their sanctioning fees. So they're going to start ordering fights. Like they just ordered Erica Cruz to fight Amanda Serrano, right? You see that? It's starting, you know, starting that it's going to get political a couple of years from now, but it's starting to where they're starting to pay attention and they're mandating fights and they're making sure things get done because money is flowing into these divisions, you know, like bantamweight. Well, you got Matchroom injecting money into the division with Shannon Courtenay fights and Ebony Bridges fights up there at 122. They're injecting money into the division there because they have Ellie Scottney and Ramla Ali and Mayerling Rivas. That's one of their champions. And they're not the only ones injecting money into these divisions. So as the money starts to pile up, they're like, oh shit, like we got some promoters putting some money in these fighters and doing fights and shit. They want to move up the ranks and fight for titles. The powers that be will begin to order fights more often for the women.
It kind of, like the way that you describe that too, it makes me wonder though, of like, just because of how political this business is, like what great fighters we don't really know about, or fighters who didn't get to climb up those ranks for whatever reason, for political reasons. Like, just because we're seeing the best, what they call the best of the best right now at the top of these different divisions, like who's to say that's really the best? There could be some other guy out there who's not getting the recognition or the shots or the time of day to even get in the ring with these guys.
I'll tell you where those fighters are. Those fighters are the American fighters. They're not the Argentines because they fight often. So things happen the way they need to happen in Argentinian boxing, that the top talent permeates to the top. Like Gabriela Alanis, she very recently won the WBO. It happened the way it's supposed to happen because she's good. Mexico has always had a vibrant women's boxing scene. It's just boxing to them, you know. They're on the shows with the guys. It's been that way. That's not new. It's been that way. You know what I mean? So in South America, Central America generally, there's nothing wrong there. It's in America where you have those fighters that they're really, really good fighters, but they're not getting limelight like Tiara Brown. She's a very good fighter. She's at featherweight right now. But, you know, Raquel Miller, you know, she's a good fighter. Danielle Perkins, she's a good fighter. Jadeja Green, O'Shea Jones, who just came out of the Olympics, she's a good fighter. I think she's a Capricorn too, so I know she's gonna beat the shit out of everything. And, you know, she's not with a major outfit. So even in the European scene, things move the way they're supposed to. It's not, they're not getting left out. They're getting the shots, and the top talent is permeating to the top because things are happening the way they're supposed to.
At what level do you think that begins? Do you think that's happening at the pros, or do you think that's happening before?
I believe it's happening at the pro level. The problem, like, for example, in the European women's boxing scene, they get those fights, man. You know, like look at what happened with Mary Romero. Beat an unbeaten up and comer in Amy Timlin. She beat another unbeaten up and comer in Maria Secchi. And then she gets another unbeaten up and comer in Ellie Scottney. And what happens? Ellie beats her. Ellie's better than them. You know, but it's happening. You see how it happened, right? That, you was fucking everything up until you met Ellie. Then Ellie whooped your ass. You know what I mean? And that's how it's supposed to happen, that the best fighters have to fight the best fighters to establish that pecking order. Shernika Johnson in Australia, they have a great scene that's really growing fast. It's growing faster than it is here. There's so many good fighters down there in Australia, man. Female fighters. And they doing their motherfucking thing, man. You know what I mean? There's a girl, fuck is her name? Chanel Dargan. She lost her last fight. She's already got another one booked on a big show, but because she's entertaining. She's an action fighter. And that's what I think the promoters need to realize. Like, yeah, they may not like the idea of it at first. Let them see it. They'll like it because it's an action fight. And that's what people pay to see. Action. They don't just pay to see a jab all night, and jab all night, and a jab and a jab and a jab and a jab. No, they want somebody to bleed. Look at Shernika Johnson's last fight with Susie Ramadan. If you want blood, it's blood.
That type of pace, that type of action exists also on the amateur level. At the National Junior Olympics in Wichita this past summer, I can't remember their names. I'll have to get back to you on those names because I want you to look up this fight and watch it. But these girls, they're very well seasoned in the amateurs, and they're both multi-time national champions. That fight, literally from bell to bell to bell, and these are 3-minute rounds. 3 rounds, but they're 3 minutes. It was just nonstop action. They never once stepped back from each other. It was they had that whole place on fire way more than I heard the crowd going for any of the male fights. Because it was just so high paced and it was so evenly matched. I'll have to get back with you on the names though.
I'll recommend you a fight if you haven't seen it. Hamadouche versus Persoon.
I haven't.
That shit, yo, dude, that shit was nuts. Like that was like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. That's the best way to describe that fight. It's like if you want action fights, the girls deliver, man. 9 times out of 10, yeah, they deliver, man. And it don't cost an arm and a leg to get them in the ring, which is why business wise, sporting wise, and entertainment wise, it's good to invest. You know what I mean? And then
Hamadouche always brings it. She is always
always,
an entertaining fighter. She's so like even outside the ring, she's like a police officer, and I mean she's just a badass all around.
yeah, Maiva's one. Maiva, like I became a fan. I'm gonna say about 6 years ago, maybe a little longer, when Katie and Clarissa was first coming out the amateurs. I kept hearing about Katie. This is girl, Katie Taylor. She a gold medal. I'm like, I bet. And I watched on the undercard of a Joshua fight. She was fighting a southpaw from Germany, Nina Menke. And I watched the shit. I was like, wow. And that shit just got me thinking, like, yo, there are more fighters like this. And that's when I started looking them up. Like, yo, and Maiva was one of the first ones I bumped into. They're like, yo, wow, yo, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? And she's one of my favorite fighters. It's a shame that she doesn't get to fight more often because she's really fucking fun to watch, win or lose.
Oh yeah, she literally from bell to bell, she doesn't stop.
Yeah, man, she's one of the best. And her and Delphine is one of the fucking greats. And that's why I like to recap a lot of things. A lot of my subscribers, they probably don't notice that I recap a lot of the common opponents that a fighter might have, so that you get an idea. See, one of the problems that the sport had is you didn't really know who was who, because none of the major networks were covering these fighters, so they had no exposure. They're all faceless and nameless. But if I tell you that Delphine Persoon, she beat Maiva Hamadouche. She gave her first loss. Erica Farias that beat Sandy Ryan. Delphine beat her too. She gave her first loss. Christina Leonardo too that gave Alicia Baumgartner her first loss. Yeah, Delphine beat her too. She gave her first loss. She's a bad motherfucker. And now that people recognize these fighters, like, oh, really? Oh, now you can give them that lineage. Now you could give them their props. Like, Delphine ain't nothing to play with, man. She'll fuck you up, Been out here fucking people up for a long time. And that's one of my favorites. Her, Maiva, Hannah Gabriel's. I want to say that Christina Hammer, she's got a good jab. Moves okay, but she's more of a Barbie. She really is. Like, she's been around for years, but yeah, she's more of a Barbie.
Have you seen Jenny Fuchs with Top Rank? She just had her second, third fight?
Bro, I love
What do you
Virginia.
think of her?
Bro, it's not often that the pro debut of a fighter like blows me away, like Carolyn Dubois' debut.
Yeah.
Karis Artingstall's. Virginia Fuchs, the captain. I was like, yo, she's gonna beat the shit out of a lot of fucking people, yo.
She's gonna be a world champ in no time.
It's just the question of the weight. What weight? I heard she's looking for Marlene. I would love to see that fight. I don't think Marlene's going to give her the time of day, though. I have it on good authority that I have it on good authority at a lot of things that I don't say, but
Understood.
I just because I don't want to let the cat out the bag about a lot of things that just they're not going to happen. And Virginia, man, she's a bad motherfucker. She's just.
Oh yeah.
I want her to go to bed. Where I want her to go is 122. She could kick a lot of fucking ass at 122. She could kick a lot of ass wherever she goes, to be honest. But 118, 122, she should go there, kick a lot of fucking ass, because there are major networks there that have ponies in those shows. You could go down 115, but a lot of motherfucking shit ain't happening down there. You go to 118, 122. There's major money from 118, 122, 126, 130, 130. That's where the money is. Remember, Sky Nicholson, Matchroom, Karis Artingstall, Boxer.
There's bigger fights to be made.
Bigger fights to be made. Yeah, I mean, you'll get seen. You'll get the chance to box on platforms. So I want her to be around there, but I heard she's looking for Marlene. She wants to fight Marlene, and I'm not against it. It's just that, well, you think Golden Boy's gonna put Marlene? No, but
With the Olympian, yeah.
they're gonna do that fucking shit. They're not fucking stupid. Like, it's a high risk, low reward, bro.
Especially this early.
And she's fucking great, man. She's really fucking great. Like, that her debut blew me away. Like, she's the real
She's
fucking
a
thing.
special fighter.
She's the real thing. Her is three fighters that really blew me away. Well, four: Carolyn Dubois, Virginia Fuchs, Raven Chapman, Karis Ardingstall. They fucking blew me away. I seemed like, yo, what the fuck? Like, beating this. And I remember she's really beating the shit out. And that was her debut. I'm like, yo. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Entertainment value.
I want to adjust one of the little comments I'm seeing. Marshall getting robbed killed women's boxing for me. Do you think Marshall got robbed?
No. I think it was closer than the judges had it, but I'm okay with Shields winning. I do think it was closer. I saw people saying things like clinic and masterclass, and no.
Scorecards typically kill the mood for me, but like usually the decision is on point. But when they give it such a wide win like that, it kind of kills me. They did that with Marin Hamadouche, and I don't know. The scorecards are shit, but the decision was correct. I agree.
Yeah, like I felt like for me it was a little hard to score because what I normally look for, like, okay, Savannah's putting you on the ropes because you don't end up there by yourself. She's putting you there, but when she's putting you there, you're fighting her off. You're fighting back, but she's fighting too. She's throwing a lot of shit, and I don't know that the judges are appreciating what she's doing because they're looking at your hand speed. Some of the stuff you're throwing, she's rolling it, she's riding it, she's slipping it, she's catching the shit. You're not always getting through. And I'm not saying that she's always getting through either, but it's chippy. It's like, no, this is hard, man. Because Shields is on the ropes, but she's not getting ragdolled, But at the same time, you are the one on the ropes. When are you going to put Savannah on the ropes? Because I didn't see you do that a whole lot. I saw her. You couldn't hold the center of the ring,
So judges are taught that just because a fighter is coming forward does not make them the dominant one in the fight. Yeah, they may have the physical prowess to come forward like that and back up their opponent, but is their opponent taking any shots? Because the prime objective a judge has in their brain is, or they should anyway, typically they should, oftentimes we say they don't, is not how many punches are thrown, it's how many punches land. And not just land, but they have to land legally. They can't land on the back of your hand. They can't land with the inside of your glove. That's called slapping. And then where are they hitting their opponent on the body? Are they hitting them on the back of the head? We're not going to count that. Are they hitting them on the arms, the shoulder? We're not going to count that. Are they hitting them below the belt line? We're not going to count that. And also, you got to think the judges' positioning. So judges are at a disadvantage compared to boxing fans, spectators, especially the ones that are watching from TV.
Yeah, because we have
different angles.
Points. Yeah,
we have different angles. We can see they're sitting in a chair looking up. They're very close, and if you are right on your opponent, like right on the inside, and your back is turned to a judge, that judge can only judge what they can see. If they're not seeing punches land, like you're throwing uppercuts, but your back is to that judge, they don't see that you threw that uppercut, so they can't judge that. So you also have to think why some of these scorecards may be so drastically different from the other, even if they have the same person winning. It has to do with vantage points.
Yeah, like that fight last weekend with Arely Musinho, Leonela Paula Judica. For me, that shit was a fucking draw. But because I'm cynical, I knew this is not going to be a draw. And I predicted Arely's going to get the nod. She may not deserve it, but she's going to get it. Because she throws a lot of punches and she's aggressive, and they're going to reward her for that. You don't want to be on your back foot when you're the away fighter. I'm just being honest. It shouldn't be that way, but that's what happens, okay?
Absolutely.
That's what happened. If you're on the back foot most of the goddamn night, you keep shifting your weight to the back foot, and you keep ending up on the fucking ropes, They're not going to reward you for that if you're the away fighter. They're not. That's just the reality. It happened to Kansei Sal when in the Kansei Sal fight with Valdez, and I'm like, look, I'm scoring this based on what I think these judges are doing, and based on that, Oscar's up. Motherfuckers kept giving me shit. I'm like, wait for the judges, wait for the decision to be read. They give it to Oscar. I'm like, you can't do that shit. Now, if
Look at Pavlik versus Jermaine Taylor. I mean, I know he stopped that fight, but talk about before he stopped that fight. Pavlik stayed coming forward. Very basic but effective boxing movement. But before that, I mean, he got caught a few times and even went down. And, you know, kudos to that ref who didn't stop it. He saw it, that Kelly was alert. But that's like my favorite fight ever. And so I reference it a lot. But that's why, like, there was just so many things that went right in that fight.
I believe that was Steve Smoger, one of the I love Steve Smoger. Because he didn't bother you, you know. He let you fucking fight. And but let him up, you know. Fuck it. Keep going. I love Steve. It's not a lot you got a lot of over officiating refs now, man.
Yeah, well, even with the doctors too. So I was a clerk at the National Golden Gloves last year, and the doctor I was sitting next to, because that's where I was sitting ringside next to the doctor, and this kid got his nose all bloodied up, and it was the championship fight, and the ref got freaked out. He called the doctor over. The doctor just goes, it's just and this guy was like this old army vet, like very like rugged, like angry grandpa type dude. And he was like, it's just a busted nose, ref. Don't come over here for a busted nose. He like went off on the ref for that. He was like, it's just a busted nose.
Yeah, man, because it's like, look, in the Torres fight this past weekend, Richard Torres, that fucking ref was just all like, bro, let them fight, bro. What the fuck?
Oh, like, yeah. And, you know, that does more damage to a fighter when you sit there and you keep breaking him up and letting a guy get his breath just to get beat on again. It's better to just let the guy get knocked down to the point you have to stop it than to just let him continuously get beat for the full fight.
Yeah, man, that fuck, he was riding somebody's ass. Because you're like, yo, why are you so close, bro? How they post a fight with you breathing down their neck like that? And there's refs like that, man. It's
he
like,
thought he was chaperoning prom. I think he kind of just forgot what event he was at.
Because I'm like, yo, I remember guys like Mills Lane. Yeah, they'll break up the clinches. Yeah, because fucking you got to break that shit up. But for the most part, they let guys go, man. They let guys go. They let it hit each other a little bit on the inside before they break up the clinch. Shit.
It's like the minute they see action, like, whoa. What are we doing, guys?
Like, what are you guys? You guys fighting? Better stop. Don't fight. Shit is crazy these days, man. But
are you really mad at him? Like, no.
You should apologize to him. Real shit, yo. But yeah, Steve Smoger is one of the greats, man. Steve Smoger.
Who's the guy that has all those crazy expressions on his face? He's out of Vegas.
That's Steve. No, he's not out of Vegas now. He's out of New York, I think. That's Steve Willis. That's Steve Willis.
I watch him when I watch fights with him as the ref. I watch him more than I do the fighters. I don't care who it is in that ring. I watch him more because he just cracks me up.
Yeah, because he's having a good time. It just adds to it. You know what I mean? Because he's having a good time.
He's passionate about what he does.
I wish we had more commentators. Like, you know, when I watch like a fight in Japanese, right? Because I don't like to listen to the English because it's just motherfuckers get live. Like, knockdown or some shit. It's spirited. When I watch a fight in Spanish and they got Chavez Senior on the ones and twos, man, he just adds to the shit. It's like, yeah, fuck. You know what I mean? And I watch some shit in English. Yeah, he shoots the jab. He's going to shoot the jab.
I wish that we saw Christina Poncher on more
She's good.
of our U.S. pay-per-views and our U.S. shows. She does for the international crowd, and she did for the Shields and Marshall one, but I would love to hear her more. Her and what's his name?
Chris Algieri.
Yeah, those two. Yes.
What I like about them is they tell you what's going on. Like, and they'll give you the reason that it's going on. Like that, like it's really a for real play-by-play of what's happening in front of you. I've seen motherfuckers start talking about all type of different shit during the goddamn fight, and you're missing the work. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing the work. You're not talking about what just happened. I've heard them 2 times, and I was like, yo, they both good because they tell you what's going on, and it's even. Like it matches what they're saying and what's happening. You know what I mean? But and I ain't gonna say no names of the ones that I don't like because I don't want to offend anybody. But it's like, motherfucker, show some spirit, bro. Show some fucking excitement, man. Yo, get excited, bro. You know what I'm saying? It adds to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Christina also during that Shields Marshall card, she was dealing with. It shows what a pro she is at this. She was dealing with 5-second delays with hearing what her co-commentators were saying, so she wasn't able to their conversations weren't really flowing naturally, and it also wasn't really syncing up with what we were seeing on TV, just based on that 5-second delay. But she still, you wouldn't have known. She killed it. It was really good.
She's really good, man. She's really good. She's good. What I hate is biased commentary. When I was watching,
yes,
I was watching Baumgartner Mayer, man.
And I knew you were gonna say that
because it's like, yo, look, I'm Joe Blow, right? But then nobody's mentioning it. You know, that counter right is fucking up that jab for Michaela. Michaela's scared to shoot the jab because the counter right gonna come right behind it. And Michaela's doing it. And I'm like, come on, dog. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, they both fighting really good. Oh shit, what happened? But yeah, man. I don't know what happened to Lo. Her phone might have died probably. But yeah, yo, I just hate when the commentators is low-key biased, man. I really hate that shit. Like, man, just get some excitement in the shit. I recommend everybody in the chat watch a fight in Spanish with Chavez on the 1s and 2s. I promise you, it makes the fight so much better, yo. No, Chavez makes, when he get on his shit, it's fucking wonderful, bro. It's fucking wonderful. The Japanese shits too. When something, shit is the best, bro. They look like hipster vegans. Like a nice looking clean dude. She is the rebel of the. Who is y'all talking about? Who y'all over there? Oh, Arely Museño. Sí, ella es linda, muy linda. She's with a Costa, bro. She's with a Costa. I mean, not all of them. You know, some of them is aight. Not all of them, but some of them is aight. But yeah, yo, man. Anyway, I think I could leave it there. I think it's been long enough. It was a fun chat. Boxeo Azteca, yeah, man. Boxeo Azteca, yo. They make the shit. It's rare that you can hear some shit and they really make it better. Like fucking Chavez, man. Like I love hearing him on the 1s and 2s, man, because he makes the fucking fight better. He does, man. He make the fight better, bro. And any Japanese, I watch that shit in Japanese. If I shit is the best, yo. Anyway, on that note, ladies and germs, I'm gonna call it a night because I'm sleepy and I want to actually go to sleep early tonight. So it was a pleasure. Shout out to Lo. Shout out to y'all in the chat. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.